And I know you've invested a lot of your time and energy into growing like social media and your following. Would you say that's been a big path of, opening up your network of all these people and building these relationships?
Yeah, huge. I would say the social media by far, hands down. I mean, we're here today because of social media. I mean, at the end of the day,
that's how we
right?
connected, I think, originally.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Social.
And the majority of my business partners and people that we work with, the original connection came from social media. It might have branched off after that. And it was like, okay, I know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy. But typically, if you trace it back to where that original thing kind of came from, it's typically social media nowadays. You know what I mean?
Look, pull in the spot. Ooh, watch how I drop. Believe it or not, this isn't all that I got. They told me to rock, that's not how I rock. Now I gotta pop Madonna.
Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm joined with Austin Zaback in the Flip Lab. Austin, I first ran into you a few years back. I actually saw you driving a Lamborghini around Old Town, and I was like, who is this dude? What is he doing? So you were one of my inspirations to kind of look into wholesaling and flipping houses and stuff like that. I know in the last couple of years, you've built up a killer wholesaling business, doing mostly deals out in Phoenix, doing deals in Florida. I know you're doing a lot of traditional stuff as well, man. So it's just awesome having you on the podcast and excited to kind of tell the people about your business.
Well, I appreciate you having me here, man. I'm excited. I know that we've ran into each other a lot over the years, and it's going to be a good time jumping into it. Hopefully everybody watching it gets a ton of value and inspiration from it.
Yeah, for sure. So I know you've been kind of entrepreneur like your whole life, you were living out your grandma's garage or whatever, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, like a lot of people watching this, they're, 18, 19 years old, they realize the corporate thing's not for them. What was the biggest thing for you where you realized like, this is going to be my life that I'm living? Yeah.
I think for me, man, it was, dude, I just looked at like I started peeling back like the generations in my family. When I was young, I saw that everybody in my family, they did okay.
Yeah.
But nobody did great, right? Like nobody did phenomenal. And I think for me, I just always had a desire to win at a high level, to impact the world, to change, people's lives. And so, it was just something that I just couldn't settle for ordinary. I couldn't settle for average, and I always pursued greatness. And it didn't matter to me what failures or obstacles got in the way of that. I had to. Like, it was just a desire that I had that, I'm almost like I became unemployable, right?
Right.
And I worked a lot of jobs. I mean, it wasn't like I didn't try. I worked 15 or 16, regular corporate jobs, and I just hated it. I hated the structure. I hated being told what to do and when to do it. And at the end of the day, how much money I was worth. And I wanted to create my own worth, and I wanted to go out there and make an impact.
Yeah. And I know you dabble in a lot of different industries, but it seems like it always is real estate first. What makes real estate so special compared to like some of these other assets that you dabble in?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. I mean, look, and we live in such a day and an age where, people watching and listening, people could be doing anything, right? I mean, there's, and we've got a lot of mutual friends, there's people that kill it in the stock market and Amazon and Walmart and, cryptocurrency and all of these different industries, right? And, for me, I like real estate because it's the most time-tested, proven industry on the face of the planet, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, there's just not another industry that compares to it. When you look at it like that, I think our generation looks at real estate sometimes as like the slower way to achieve success.
Everyone wants success overnight.
They want it right now, right? Which is why they go and they trade stocks and they do crypto and they do all this other stuff.
Buy this fucking dog coin. Yeah. And hopefully it goes to the moon.
Right.
Yeah.
But for me, I wanted to create generational wealth, right? I wasn't trying to make, $1,000 a day trading and, that's great for people to do that. But for me, I wanted to eventually own, you look at guys like Manny Koshman and Grant Cardone. And I mean, even Donald Trump. I mean, you look at these guys, they created their wealth in real estate. I mean, plain and simple, there's no questions about it. Right. And so, that was the biggest thing for me. Also, it's real, it's tangible. I can look at it, I can touch it, I can smell it, I can taste it. And technology can't take it out, right? I mean, you can have technology over time, right? That could, in theory, eliminate the majority of industries out there, or at least, eliminate different variables of the industry to where, you've got to pivot and mold and adapt and all of that. And in real estate, it's like, hey, at the end of the day, I've got to sleep at night, right? And I can't sleep on an iMac. I mean, I've got to be able to sleep in a physical,
you need
tangible,
a roof over your head.
I got to have a roof, right? So you can't have some software or some robot eliminate that. I mean, the way that real estate is built and developed and stuff, I think technology over the next 10 or 15 years will definitely change. I think it's very inefficient how real estate is being done and being conducted. But at the end of the day, man, it's tangible.
Yeah. Do you think that technology, like in the future, will take out real estate agents?
It's a great question. I've thought a lot about it. I don't know. I go back and forth with that. I've talked a lot about that with people. I think in the future, real estate agents are going to, they definitely will need to adapt. I don't think that the way that they've been doing it, they'll be able to continue to do it forever. I do think to some degree, and I could be wrong. I could watch this video back in 10 years and be totally wrong, right?
Yeah.
But I do think to some degree, buying a house is an emotional process. And I think to some degree, we're going to be able to view houses, digitally, right? We're going to be able to put on 3D goggles and do a virtual tour, a virtual walkthrough of a house. I'm in Florida. I want to buy a house in Dallas, and I'm going to be able to, essentially not have to get on an airplane to tour that house, right? And I'm going to be able to, see everything in real time, right now. But I think that, having a human being in the middle of that, being able to, deal with the emotions of both parties and transact that, I think will be important for a while. But I don't know in 30 years from now, who knows?
Yeah. I think too, it's for the average person, like when they do buy or sell a house, that's like their biggest financial investment they ever make. Like They're not doing this a lot. Like guys like us, we buy, sell houses. It's like, it's another Tuesday. But for the average person, they're only doing that a couple times in their life. This is their biggest financial decision. It's like, I'm even helping my parents sell their home in New Jersey.
Right.
And they're confused. They're like, wait, you're not using an attorney?
Yep.
I was like, we don't need an attorney. Right. Like the HUD's right here. Like the title company handles everything. It's all good. But I think the average person will always want some type of person to service them, some type of a professional. I just think it might transition more into, you can't be a one-trick pony. You can't just come in and be like, hey, I'm going to take nice photos and list it. It's like, hey, maybe we should do this for you. Or maybe like novations. I was talking to Corey Geary about like even novations, like that might become more prevalent in the future because people do want convenience in today's day and age. But at the same time, a lot of the times they don't want to sell for wholesale price. Right. So I feel like there's going to be some kind of middle ground where agents are going to kind of fill in. They'll have to adapt. Yeah, for sure. And I think the barrier, it's something you could talk about forever. I think the barrier of entry is too low for real estate agents. You look at, I was even talking to the other day an appraiser, and he's a good dude. He's actually going to be joining my real estate team, and he built an appraisal company with 78 appraisers. Making phenomenal money. But he's like, Austin, to become an appraiser, it takes 2 years to become an appraiser. Like there's no way around it. Like there's no skipping the I didn't either. I had no idea it took that long. And he explained to me, and it made all the sense in the world. He's like, that's why appraisers sometimes get irritated at real estate agents, and real estate agents are trying to tell them, to look at this comparable or that comparable, right? Like, because an appraiser, they went through way more schooling to have that license than an agent did. And I think, there's a lot of agents out there that do a deal or two here and there. And those agents, I don't think will be in the business in 10 years, no matter what. I mean, I think that, the majority of the agents that'll be in the business will be agents that are experienced, that are with a big brokerage, a big team. They've got a lot of marketing power behind them. They've got a huge team behind them of transaction coordinators and marketing and everything you can imagine. I think those real estate agents will survive for quite a while. Yeah. And I know you have, like a traditional team, and then mostly it seems like though you're focused on the investing side. How do you kind of balance those two businesses? People. And people's the trickiest thing, over the years, I've been very fortunate and blessed to have and employ a lot of different people. And I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've made a lot of good hires too. And, if it wasn't for my team, I wouldn't be able to do any of it. I'm just one guy at the end of the day, and I'm really, my specialty is stuff like this, right? I'm good at people. I'm good at interacting. I'm good at coaching, at teaching, mentoring, talking to people, but I'm not great at anything else. I mean, I'm really not. I'm okay at everything, but I'm not phenomenal, right? I can kind of teach the role a little bit, and I can help people grow and evolve. But man, it's just people, So like for me,
I've got an entire team in place. I have people that do all of our transactions. We have people that help with recruiting. I have people that help with hiring, people that, write contracts for us. I have people in so many different positions at this point that I'm not in the day-to-day, in the nitty-gritty of every little detail.
Yeah.
And that's what allows me to do, multiple different things. But again, everything that I do now is all in the real estate wheelhouse, right? So in some way, shape, or form, it all connects.
It's all like vertically integrated.
100%.
At some point.
It
so
is.
like, where do you guys generate leads for the most part?
So wholesaling is our main marketing kind of where we spend the majority of our money, right? And then, believe it or not, a lot of our retail like listings and stuff come from that marketing budget because, what ends up happening and goes back to like you were saying, don't be a one trick pony. Well, what happens is, people raise their hand and they say, hey, I want to sell, right? And we initially, call them or whatever. And we say, okay, here's our cash offer, blah, blah, blah. We walk them through, we go through the script and everything like that. But eventually you're going to get a lot of sellers that they don't want to sell at a discount, right? Like you were saying a little while ago. And so then we'll pivot and we'll say, okay, well, we're a full service real estate company. And we can come in and we can list your property on the open market and we can net you a higher dollar amount, but here's the pros and cons of both, right? And so we do that a lot. But I would say wholesaling is the number one place we spend our money. And we spend a lot of money on that, on marketing dollars spent on generating seller leads in that company. Yeah.
And as far as like the types of marketing you're doing for wholesaling, are you guys cold calling? You guys doing PPC? What's
Both.
your setup looking like?
Yeah, mainly I would say three main marketing things that we do. It would be cold calling, pay-per-click, and relationships. So real estate agents, other wholesalers, and things like that. I mean, we spend a lot of money on cold calling. We have, I believe, we're up to like 24 or 25 full-time cold callers, Monday through Friday, obviously.
Like $4 or $5 an hour or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, exactly. Yep. And we've actually even developed like a cold calling kind of facility in the Philippines. So now we actually take on other clients and stuff like that. And that's just kind of a side hustle of ours.
Kind
where
of
we
offset
do
the cost.
we do. Yeah, because we do the hiring and the training and the quality control. And, because what I found for many years is a lot of these there's a lot of VAs out there, number one. But number two, a lot of the VAs aren't any good, right? I talk to wholesalers.
I've had some pretty bad ones.
Me too. I've talked to some wholesalers that are like, Austin, like, our VAs are horrible, right?
Yeah.
And so when we finally found the good ones, people started obviously asking like, where'd you find them? And then we started to provide that service as well. So we generate a lot of leads that way.
Yeah. Now, do you find like with the cold call leads versus some other leads, we were doing a lot of cold calling, but they weren't nearly as like qualified leads.
Yeah.
So what we had was all these leads that were kind of like lukewarm leads. And then we run I think a smaller operation than you. It's like just me and my business partner. Yep. I'm on the phones most of the time. So for me, it was like cold calling leads were just not warm enough. Yep. I wanted more like PPC leads or radio ads, like stuff that was like hot, ready to go. Are you guys kind of finding that? And then is that where maybe a lot of those retail leads are coming from, the cold callers?
Yeah. Like it's just a numbers game, you know? So like we have, obviously PPC is going to be way hotter of a lead, right? And even to your point, I mean, I'm not going to give the dudes that are acquiring, so like our acquisitions dudes that are acquiring a cold call lead, like they're talking to that potential seller. I'm going to have a different acquisitions guy talk to a pay-per-click lead, depending on their experience level, right?
Like your top guys are talking to the pay-per-click.
Exactly. Yeah. And any other types of marketing similar to like pay-per-click, right? Where it's more of a, like you said, it's a hotter lead, right?
Yeah.
And the cold calling leads, dude, I mean, like cold calling leads are great. We do a lot of deals from cold calling leads, but they're not hot leads by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, they are interested in selling typically, right? And if you can get them on the phone and you follow up with them, look, roughly every 75 cold call leads that we generate, we should get a deal under contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not horrible.
Right. Right. Especially when you have as many cold callers as you guys have.
Yeah. So we're generating, I mean, just do the math, we're probably generating about 100 cold calling leads a day, give or take 75 to 100. So, theoretically we should do a contract a day, and we have about a 95% closing rate. So we don't basically cancel contracts.
Yeah. You guys, when you guys give a price, because some people that are doing wholesaling, it's like they're closing like 1 out of 5 contracts, 1 out of 6. So you guys are closing on most.
We're not like other wholesalers in that regard. We only lock a deal up that we're 99% certain we can sell. And we're arguably There's other phenomenal people in the industry that I know of. We obviously know a lot of the same people, but we arguably close in terms of that statistic that we're talking about, where, out of how many deals do we close compared to how many we lock up, we might be the highest in the valley.
For like a high volume type, it's like we close on 100%, but we're only doing like 2-3 deals a month. Just like big flips. Right. Usually if you're doing 30, 40, whatever wholesale deals, you're not closing on a lot of those. So that's pretty impressive. How are you dispoing? Like Phoenix makes sense. You live here, know a lot of people, but you're also in Florida doing a lot of deals. How are you dispoing so many deals virtually over there?
Relationships. We've got a couple different relationships that we build over time that they're either really good buyers of ours or they know buyers, so it's all relationships. I mean, at the end of the day, I think you can get into any virtual market with the right relationships and you can succeed at a really high level. If you're not, talking to people and connecting and collaborating, then I don't think it's not easy. It's not simple, right? Yeah. But if you have the relationships, it's pretty simple. Yeah.
And I know you've invested a lot of your time and energy into growing like social media and your following. Would you say that's been a big path of, opening up your network of all these people and building these relationships?
Yeah. Yeah. Huge. I would say the social media by far, hands down. I mean, we're here today because of social media. I mean, at the end of the day,
that's how we
right?
connected, I think, originally.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Social.
And the majority of my business partners and people that we work with, the original connection came from social media. It might have branched off after that. And it was like, okay, I know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy. But typically, if you trace it back to where that original thing kind of came from, it's typically social media nowadays. I mean, dude, look at dating. I mean, dude, the amount of people I talk to that like, hey, I met my girlfriend, my wife on Tinder, on Bumble, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube. I met
my girlfriend on Bumble.
Right. It's the truth, right? We live in a world where, I mean, at the end of the day, like I do the same thing every day, right? I wake up, I go to the gym, I go home, I shower, I walk my dog, I go to the office, I grind all day, I go home, I go to bed, I do it all over again. Where am I going to meet people in that routine, right? So, I think when you look at like our parents' generation and you look at our grandparents and stuff like that, I look at my grandparents and my parents and no wonder they don't have a lot of friends. I mean, no wonder they don't know a lot of people, right? Unless they were some big shot and you're watching the video and they were lucky and blessed to be in some big corporation and travel a lot or whatever. It was totally different, right? I mean, you didn't have the opportunity to meet people like you do now, so I think, people that aren't focused on building their personal brand, they're doing it wrong. I mean, you said before the podcast, like this is more of a part-time thing for you, which is great. But for a lot of people, it's not even a part-time thing. I mean, they're not even putting any energy or focus into it. Yeah. Right. So at a very minimum, like make it a part-time thing, fit it in, a couple hours out of the day and do stuff like this, interview people. Like everybody's got a story. Everybody has value. Everybody you got to start somewhere on social media and on building your brand. Even if you have a couple of thousand followers, you've got to do it. You've got to put in the work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a reason why I started this is not only to kind of bring value, but new network relationships, solidifying relationships, right? Bringing value to other people's networks and kind of creating all that. So I just think it goes back to like what we were saying, even real estate. Sometimes the personal brand stuff, you don't see anything for a long time. And then it starts kind of building up. And then all of a sudden, then you're like, oh shit, I got this relationship and wow, I got this business partner from Instagram and all those things.
What I like to say is it is an intangible ROI, right? So a lot of people, social media is really bad for analytical people because they can't analytical people, they want to figure out what the ROI is, right? They're like, if I'm going to go buy this microphone and this and the light and the thing and the book and the set and the foam, what's my ROI on that, right? Like,
my
what am I going to get?
My business partner struggles with this aspect of our business.
Yeah, dude. And I talk to so many people and I'm like, you're missing the point. It's going right over your head, right? I'm like, it's intangible. Here's the way I like to look at it. You'll be able to calculate the ROI on social media the day that you are in your deathbed. And the reason I say that, and I kind of just made that up, is because the relationships that you build won't fully mature until the day you're dead, right? So for example, this relationship right here, we met on social media, we're doing a podcast. You might, or I might call you in 10 years out of the blue. And you might pitch me, or I might pitch you with $1 billion business idea. All of a sudden we're partners. And we're billionaires. You never know, right?
Yeah.
I can't calculate. I have no idea what this relationship is worth until I'm completely at the end of my life.
That makes sense. Yeah. Right. Never looked at it that way.
So you have to, it's just developing relationships and seeing what doors open as a result of that. And just understanding, hey, this is a thing that I've got to invest amount of money that I'm comfortable with, right? that I can afford to invest with the understanding that in some way, shape, or form, there is an ROI. I can't calculate it, but it's for sure there.
Yeah. And I think some people then, on the other hand, make the mistake of they're just on social and like they're not doing enough like actual business too, which is like, don't do that shit either, because it's like, do the business first. But I think if you're an entrepreneur, like even with the social stuff, it's like we do have some downtime to be able to just hop in, make some content. You can kind of do it whenever, turn the cameras on. It's like anyone who's saying they don't have time for it, it's like they're just not figuring out ways to make time for it.
That's the truth. Yeah. The majority of what most people would be doing on social media would be documenting in some way, shape, or form what they're already doing, right? So if you're a real estate agent and you're out showing a property, get to the property 5 or 10 minutes early and get a TikTok video of the property, right? Walk in, turn on the lights, get a quick pan of the living room, a pan of the bedroom, a pan of the kitchen, a pan of the thing of whatever. And then, come home and chop it up, add some music. There you go, right? So it's whatever you're already doing. I mean, you don't have to go start a podcast tomorrow, right? But just get content of what you're already doing and put it out there. If you're flipping a property, video that, document the journey. Okay, hey, today we're coming in here, we're demoing the property. Now we're doing countertops. Now we're doing this. Now we're doing that.
People like to do business with people that are doing business.
100%.
And social media kind of.
And you make a good point. Find the balance. Don't be somebody that is just doing social media, because there's no, first of all, there's not enough money in it initially, right? There's really no initial money in social media unless you like go viral and like whatever, right? But yeah, you want to be somebody that has that balance, and so like even for me, dude, I've taken multiple times over the last couple of years, I've taken a step back from social media, including at the time of filming this. I'm not going very hard on social media right now. Now, in 30 days, that'll look entirely different, because every so often I readjust all my businesses. I take a step back, I reevaluate, I look at it, I say, okay, we got to create new systems, new processes, hire some new people. And during that time frame, I don't have time to do social media, right? Now, once I get everything kind of back up and going and everything's well oiled and everything's moving the way I want it to move, then I get back onto social media and I start going hard again.
Yeah, focusing on the revenue generating activities first, and then kind of the other stuff a little bit more on the back.
That's how you're going to fund it initially.
Right.
You're going to fund it from what you make money from, right? Yeah. You can't not make any money and go buy equipment and do stuff like that.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yep. Now, I've seen you throughout the years. You've started these businesses. I've seen you have multiple business partners too. When it comes to finding business partners, I know you found some through social media, like we were just talking about. What would you say when it comes to finding the right type of business partners, being someone who's had multiple business partners? What would you say makes a good business partner versus someone maybe not so good of a fit?
Phenomenal question, man. And I really hope people go back and re-listen to this and watch it. And I hope I answer it. And I like my answer. And when I rewatch it, I think that the people that you're going to choose to do business with, first of all, I think choosing a business partner is more important than choosing a spouse. Okay. I'm going to say that again, like choosing a partner, right, in business is more important than like picking who you're going to marry, right? Because you actually, it's more complicated to divorce a partner than it is to divorce a spouse. And I've been through it and I know. And, and then second of all, so you got to be really careful, right? Like you don't want to rush it, right? You don't want to, if there's any red flags or anything at all, I mean, you really want to slow down and work through that and like figure out like what am I looking at here? What does this mean? And then secondly, I think the most important thing is to really make sure that person has the same fundamentals as you in life in general, right? Forget about the business for a little while. Forget about the industry that you're in. Forget about what that person's good at versus what you're good at. Forget about all of that, right? That'll all change and evolve over time. Like roles change. My partner one day or 1 week or 1 year, 1 month might be doing a certain particular thing in the company where the company evolves. We hire somebody to do that. And now our roles are going to change, right? So the main thing you got to remember with a business partner, I think a lot of people, they look at that first, right? They're looking at, well, this person's really good at integrating, right? And I'm a visionary. We're a great fit, right? It's like, well, hold on, slow down. Maybe you're not a great fit, right? And so, and there's books written on this, as obviously. Rocket Fuel, Traction, right? And so, and by the way, those books are incredible, right? And I respect the hell out of them. I've read them, and they're basically 100% true, right? And in addition to that, I would say, and he might even mention this in there. I can't remember, to be honest with you, but look at the person's heart, right? Look at the person. Who are they? What do they do? What do they believe in? I mean, look, if you're, and I hate to go there, but like if you're somebody that is super religious and your business partner is a total atheist, it isn't going to work long term.
Yeah, he's like, I need 5 days off for religion, and then the business partner is going to be like, dude, we got to make money. Like,
it's not going to work. Yeah, it's just not. You know, and so you gotta figure that kind of stuff out, right? You guys have to get along. Look, you know what'll end up happening is maybe you start a company and you're like long term too. Like, who are they as a person? Like, what do they want out of life? What are their goals in life? What are their, you know, you might have a guy that wants to make $1 million a year, partner wants to make 100 million. So what happens when the company gets to 2 million a year? The one guy's like, well, just pay me my $1 million and I'm good. The other guy's like, well, I want to reinvest my 900 grand. I only want to take 100. I want to reinvest 900 and I want to get to 100 million.
Yeah.
The other guy's like, well, I don't want to do that. Right. I'm not about that. Just pay me my cut and I'm good. I'm living the life. Right.
Yeah. So,
you know, you're going to run into things like that. You're going to run into problems like that. And you really have to go into it with looking at the bigger picture, I think, in my humble opinion. And I've had good business partners. I've had bad ones. And I'll tell you what, it makes a world of difference, right? You have to have, you know, I would say like love, you got to love, right? Like you have to really, like, I really believe in the bottom of my heart that serving and giving is living, right? So like, when my partners, like the partners I have that are incredible, you know, we're trying to constantly outserve each other, right? Hey, I want to serve you, you serve me. And then we want to serve our people. We want to serve our employees, our culture, our environment, our company, right? It isn't take, squeeze the business dry, pay everybody as little as we can and travel the world. That's not the goal, right? That's not our goal. So, you know, looking at things like that and really getting to the bottom of that will ultimately set you up for failure, or it'll set you up for complete massive success.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I mean, to those points you just brought up, I was thinking through me and my business partner, Steve, in New Jersey. Yep. And we're so different as people, but when you break down like the fundamentals, we're both like East Coast, New Jersey, like guys, like we're very like, you know, our mindset of family and, you know, money expectations are all similar, even though like we're very different as people and our skill sets are very different. But yet I do think, if those fundamental things don't align, it's going to be kind of really difficult to work.
You'll be in for a rude awakening, man. Yeah. So it sounds like you have a great partner.
Yeah. Blessed for it. And you know, it's an important part of a business for sure.
Gotta have trust and all that. Yeah,
absolutely. So now if people want to learn more about you, if people want to find you when you get back, you know, pumping social media content, I know you're on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. Where can people find you at?
Just Austin Zaback. Yep. Real simple, real easy. Austin Zaback on IG, Austin Zaback on YouTube, Austin Zaback on TikTok. Makes it easy because nobody's got my same last name. So there's no numbers or any of that.
No, like, I know. I have like a underscore at the end of my shit. And I'm like, God damn it.
You got other people with the same last name and the same name. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I don't have that. So,
cool, man. Well, dude, it was awesome having you on. Excited to see kind of what's coming next for you guys. If you guys have deals in Florida or Arizona, definitely want to be sending it this guy's way, man.
I really appreciate you having me, man. I look forward to doing it again. And hopefully everybody got a little bit of value.
Yeah.